I believe you kind of immersed yourself in movies at quite an early age.
I was fairly convinced at the age of 8 that that's what I wanted to do with my life. And yeah, you know, and my parents were, that's really cute. And I kind of, when I got into high school, I worked after school directing plays and doing lighting for plays. And then at night, that was from like 3 to 6, and then from 6 till midnight, 1 in the morning, I was a projectionist.
And even at that age, when you were watching those movies again and again, were you thinking, this is what I want to do, I can do this, I can... That's maybe one layer of the onion removed. I was kind of, why are they doing it this way? Why does that, you know, because I'd made movies from the time I was 8. I'd made Super 8 movies, and you know, the dominoes were starting to kind of fall for me about coverage and over-the-shoulder shots and how you knit, you know, a scene together. I saw All That Jazz 200 times. I saw 1941 200 times. So it was, you know, it was whatever was there that was interesting. I just would watch it. I got a job working for a local filmmaker who was one of the original sort of triumvirate of omnizoetrope. So it was Francis Coppola, George Lucas, and John Cordy. And I started there as a PA and cleaned out garbage cans and moved Xerox machines. And when I left a year and a half later, I was the head of the visual effects department. I got a job working at ILM. I was one of those kids who was really committed to the idea of I guess, being on sets and watching how shit went down. I watched a lot of directors. I watched talented people that I liked and admired get kind of, you know, spun and worked. And I vowed never to let that happen. I was like, I want to know what every motherfucker in the room does. I never wanted to be the guy who was victimized by other people's laziness. You kind of technically and almost emotionally feel like you at that point you're kind of starting to think. Was there a point where you remember where you thought, yeah, right, now I can direct a movie?
I worked on the weekends, and I did with some friends of mine. We sold an idea to the American Cancer Society that had a fetus smoking a cigarette in utero, which we thought was hilarious.
It is kind of shocking to see that image. The whole thing is kind of, it's very you.
We thought it was funny. Yeah. So we gave it to them, they were offended. It was not played on 2 networks, and it caused this whole thing, and then all the networks had to take it. I got a job right after that directing a music video, and then I kind of lit out for LA, and I you know, schlepped my reel around, which had nothing on it, and I went to the biggest music video companies of that time. And the biggest one was Limelight. I had an agent, and I had them pass my reel along to Simon Fields, who wrote a note back to the agent saying, this guy has no talent. We have no interest. And I vowed at that moment to dance in the ruins of Limelight. And I signed with a commercial director on Melrose Place named Nesbitt Lee Lacey. He was famous for the Coca-Cola commercial with Mean Joe Green. Now, I was signed by the music video division, and we were sort of relegated into the back with the janitorial staff. We were there, we were ignored, we were humiliated, and the 4 directors, 3 other directors and I decided to start our own company, and that was Propaganda. And we went from billing together about $2.5 million a year, and 3 years later we were billing $65–75 million a year. Wow. And we had the biggest music video commercial company in Hollywood. I mean, I didn't like the script, but I love Alien. So yeah, I signed up naive and went off to Pinewood to be sodomized ritualistically for 2 years.
I remember going to see it and thinking, rather enjoying it, but equally...
Whatever.
No. What was the problem?
There's no one problem with a, $65 million fucked up first time filmmaker. Look, I made a crucial error. I listened to the people who were paying for the movie, and they said the way to go about this is not to work with your friends. The way to go about this is to work with people who've done this time and time and time again. And basically that translates into meet a lot of people who are going to resent you and your age and are not going to want to take instruction from you, and allow them to tell you what you can't do. A lot of people who are just like, what the fuck? Who is this twerp? So I kind of retreated back to doing television commercials and had no expectation that I would ever be employable again. And I got sent a script, and it was 7. And I got to John Doe, walks into the police station and gives himself up. And I was holding the script, like I knew how many pages were left. And I was going, you can't do this. This is against the rules. So I read to the end and I thought, this is insane. So I called my agent and I said, this head in the box ending it's unbelievable. How do I? He said, oh my God, I sent you the wrong draft.
No.
That's the first draft. I said, what? He said, yeah, there's 11 drafts. Do you want me to say it? And I said, no, this is the one. He goes, well, I don't think they're gonna make that one. So I said, okay. And I went out and started meeting cast, and I met this long, blonde-haired actor who had just gotten off this movie, Legends of the Fall. And I told him I wanted to make The French Connection. And we hit it off, and I was driving in my car back to the office, and I got a call saying, Brad wants to do it. Oh. And I called Arnold Kopelson, and Arnold Kopelson said, would you like to talk to Morgan Freeman? I said, we can't send the script to Morgan. Morgan Freeman's a genius. If we send him the script, he'll never speak to me. He said, no, I sent it to him, he likes it, he wants to talk to you. So I called Morgan Freeman, and he said, I'd love to do this, and we did it.
I mean, Brad Pitt, you ended up working with repeatedly.
He's good.
He's good. When you're doing a film like Fight Club, for example, that strikes me as being one of the most kind of subversive, in a way, kind of studio pictures. Having read the novel, it's basically a kind of an attack on capitalism and marketing and advertising, all of that stuff.
News Corp.
Yeah, News Corp, exactly.
I've said this a lot in the last couple of weeks. It doesn't make it any less true. I don't make movies in spite of the people who pay for them. I don't fund my own films, and the people who do fund them, they're not tricked. They're not drugged and kept in the cellar until we're done shooting. We report to them on a daily basis, and you show them the dailies. I mean, I storyboarded the whole movie. I could take them through the entire thing and say, here's where we're going to feel a little weird, and this is going to be a little sickening, and this is a tiny bit misogynist, and we'd walked them through it, and they were, okay, we're ready to take some risks. When we cut the movie together and we showed them the final thing, is the first time I think that everybody realized that they were going to get fired. It was kind of up until the marketing department shit all over the movie and said, men don't want to see Brad Pitt with his shirt off, and women don't want to see him bloody. So you're kind of fucked. And I was like, who are these people? So they devised a campaign for the film to sell it to people watching the World Wrestling Federation.
The smaller roles, I mean, even Helena Bonham Carter, this is a bizarre
Fantastic.
film. Yeah, fantastic, but you wouldn't think she'd be the first kind of person necessarily to go to.
Helena was, we had a script that Brad wouldn't commit to, and Andy Walker came in to do a polish, and I was kind of like, I feel like we're really close. He was like, yeah, we're really close, but let's do a little more, spit shine on it. And so I said, okay, if we're going to do that, Andy and I are going to come over to your house every morning at 8 o'clock, and we'll work until we get it right. We would make coffee, and we would talk, and he, one day, as I walked in, he said, have you seen
Wings of a Dove? And I said, no. We put it in, we watch it, and I said, you know, she's such a kind of perfect little doll. You know, do you think we can do we think she can be like foul-mouthed and nicotine stained and Adderalled? And he was like, I don't know, let me meet with her. So I went to the Four Seasons when she was in town, and I met her, and she was foul-mouthed, nicotine stained, completely, you know, caffeinated. And she was like, why would you think of me for this? And I was like, I don't know. And Michael Kaplan, who did the costumes, kind of came up with this idea that he was like, you know who she is? She's Judy Garland on her last legs. And I was like, wow, that was perfect. So we showed her, and that's what she did.
I have to ask you about the takes issue. You famously have a lot of takes.
My philosophy is you spend $250,000 on a set. You're going to put it on a soundstage. It costs you $5,000 a day. You're going to put $8,000 worth of lights you're going to bring a $150,000 crew in. You're going to bring actors in from all over the world. You're going to put them up in hotels. They're going to come there, and the idea is to get them out as soon as possible. Who wants to live like that? If I fly you in from Iceland and you're supposed to do one day, I want to make sure that we get it. There's a point in time, whenever an actor says, I'm sorry, I lost. Can we start again? They were great. Right before they pull the pin on the whole thing, they were great. And I've shown, it's that thing of when you fall face first into something and you kind of know, you know what the text is and you know what you're supposed to be doing, but you lose your train of thought. It's almost always the most exciting thing. Something is really, and I was, you know, but my process is about, I'm going to give you 17, 18, 25 bites at the apple, because if you're smart and if you're conscientious, you've worked out in your head as an actor what it is you want to present me. And presentation is a kind of weird, translucent, diffuse, plastic hymen between what I want it to be and what you want it to be, what the actor wants it to be. And there's always this thing of like, yeah, I've gathered my senses and I'm ready to show you my wares. And I almost always feel like it's bullshit. I almost always feel like it's controlled. And so what I want to do is go, great, show me that. We shot 7 takes. Okay, now let's start. You know, are you done? Because, you know, I know you won the Oscar last night in the tub and you figured out what this is going to be, but now I want to challenge. Now I want to get beyond muscle memory. I want you to know exactly where to sit in that chair. I want you to be really comfortable because it's your home. And so you come in, you throw your coat on the couch. When you've done that 15 times, it starts to look like you live there.
Some directors you hear don't like actors and aren't interested in that and are kind of using them as pawns.
I don't want to do that. I'm not one of those directors like, I could do that. I could not fucking do that in my life. Like, I could never. And to me, if you can help them be great, everybody wins. Like, that's the point. That's why we're here. That's why we're shooting. You know, we're shooting to make all of this great. The camera is going to trap them in amber for all time. And it's the magic of when somebody is doing something in the background that evolves and they come into the foreground and they become part of the action and they take over. I have to create an environment where they can do that. And that may mean being unkind to get everybody's attention so that we understand we're not going to save this in coverage. I'm not going to allow your hangover to influence how I'm going to cut the scene. I'm not going to allow your bad hair day to mandate that we're going to be, you know, the scene plays out in overs. I'm going to get a good master, maybe 3 that are very different in what they're, and then I'm going to go into coverage and I may get 1 to 3 really great overs that are really interesting, and then I'll bring back and do singles. But I want to cut the scene the way I want to cut the scene. I want to cut the scene the way the story mandates, not somebody's comfort.
Social Network. I remember getting incredibly excited at the idea of you directing a film from an Aaron Sorkin script about this subject matter.
When you read a script that good, you just say, where do I go to surrender? I thought Zuckerberg was hilarious. When I was given this script, it was under very strange kind of alien auspices in that they were like, we're making this movie. So you tell us how much it's going to cost, and you tell us who you want to put in it. And yeah, it's an incredibly exciting thing to be able to just cast people who are right for it. Andrew Garfield wanted to play Mark Zuckerberg. He was good. He gave a good reading. And then Jesse Eisenberg sent his audition tape in, and I grabbed Aaron, I brought him over to my computer, and I hit play, and Aaron went, oh my God, he does me better than me. And I was like, it's gotta be Jesse. And I called Andrew over, and we sat in my office, and I said, I can't offer you Mark Zuckerberg, but I would love it if you would come to read through and read for Eduardo. And he said, really, why? I mean, what? And I said, just, I think you have a mechanism. You, as an actor, build an umbilicus to the audience. You create an emotional attachment. That's your gift. I don't need that for Mark Zuckerberg. I need that for Eduardo. And if you will come and read through, I think you'll see what I'm doing. And, you know, no strings attached now. And he said, okay. And he came and he read, and we finished the read through, and we walked out in the parking lot, and he goes, I get it. This guy's amazing. And I said, so do you want to play Eduardo? And he said, I would love to. And everybody was like that. Everybody just wanted to tell the story. When we started talking about Amy, one of the things that I realized about Rosman was that I had seen this work. I pride myself on being able to see, you know, an actor's utility belt. I try to gauge them, who they are, what they're made of, by the things that they default to and where their instincts take them. And I'm, you know, that's all I do all day. So I'm reasonably good at it. And I had no take on her. I had no idea, and I needed that. Amy has to be unfathomable.
House of Cards.
Yep.
Entering the world of kind of what I would call premium TV. You know, TV now, you know, often is as good, if not better, than film.
The rights for the show were being shopped in Hollywood, and my partners, who I had sort of said, let's make TV together, were sent this DVD set of this wonderful British show. And I was finishing Dragon Tattoo, and they both started calling me saying, you gotta watch this DVD, you idiot. Like, just, the rights are gonna be gone to this thing, and and I watched it, and I thought, this is insanely good. It's so simple, and it's so dramatic, and it's so rich. Television has become the place for characters to evolve. There's very little time in movies anymore for characterization. And I think television is a place where characters can be slowly peeled and revealed. I want everybody, I want the makeup artist, I want the boom operator, I want everybody to feel it's the best work that they've done, or it's the best adaptation that we can do. My father once said to me, I don't know who he was quoting, but, you know, learn your craft, it'll never stop you from being a genius. And that's the kind of thinking, you know, that's what you want to surround yourself with.
I think that's such a great way to end. Thank you all for coming. And most of all, thanks to David Fincher.